Welcome everyone to My Self-Reliance, our January edition of our Zoom live chats. And so tonight we have a special topic that I think is a really good topic for the beginning of the year. So I'm just going to share my screen with you all. And so the topic of tonight is really all about your health and making this your greatest year yet when it comes to health. And it's really quite an interesting topic because the last 2 years, we've discovered that everything that's been happening is not about our health. But this really is about your health. And so people have really, in the broad, general selection of, they've always looked to doctors as the purveyors of all wisdom of health. And in my mind, that's the last place you would go for health. And even before COVID came along, my I guess philosophy of health is really grounded in natural health and really grounded in the earth as the resource for everything that you need to overcome any illness and prevent disease. So really, I think health is one of those areas where you do have a lot of choice, but only if you know what you're choosing. So just to give you some broad statements around health and how you can really become self-sufficient in this area. So when it comes down to it, it's what we take in our bodies and on our bodies that can really define how healthy we are. Especially we live in the Western countries, and so we really have a lot of environmental factors and food factors when it comes to our health of our body. So I like to redirect everyone's attention to what's in your pantry and what's in your bathroom cupboard as a good indication of how self-sufficient in your health that you are. So we think about going back to our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, and it was all the old wives' tales of what you can do to look after your health. And we moved a long way away from that in relying on the medical industry, and now we're replacing that again with good, solid home doctor remedies. So, okay, so we're going to take a broad sweeping statement. Oh, I'm just going to shut my window. The neighbors want to start their V8 cars. Okay, so there's lots of things that people look to for health. Number one is the water that you're drinking. So there lots and lots of studies that have come out now. You do not want to be relying on tap water, but you do want to be drinking lots of water. So, we've heard lots of things about the fluoride that's been in water that's been around for years and years. So how can you get the best drinking water that's good for you? So a lot of people who say water's the way to go will promote Kangen water or distilled water, and they say if you drink lots of good alkaline water, then you can live, forever, because your body's 80% water or 90% water, and so having a really good water source is important for your health, and also for cleaning and for hygiene. So an alkaline water can really clean your teeth, and you don't even need to put any toothpaste on it, or so they say. So there's really good resources that if you're wanting to search out some really good information about water, a Kangen water is filter system. It's not about filtering at all. It's about turning water into an alkaline water versus an acidic water, and having that be better for your health. Okay, next one is earth. Now, I just came across this recently. There's this whole system of earthing your feet in the ground and using those minerals and ionizers from the earth to reground your body and to heal inflammation in the body. So there's a video in the group that's about that, and it's really interesting what you can do to earth yourself. And as many, as we've gone along in society, we've put on rubber-soled shoes, we walk on cement, and we've become separated from the earth. And there's lots of health ions in dirt. And if you can put bare feet on the dirt or on the grass and become really grounded, it's really super good for you. And so too is walking on sand. So that's also really good. So you can do your own research into those areas. Let's go to oils. A lot of people who love their oils find that there's an oil for every concern health-wise, and those oils can fix anything from a cold to arthritis to, I don't know, I can't make claims, and I don't know much about oils myself, but I do have lots of connections to people who know all about oils and will headaches and clear up any ailment that you have, for your pets as well, using oils. So that's another place that you can go. I tend to go towards food, and that's the area of expertise for me, is looking at how food impacts your body, because it's something that we have to do every day, is eat. Okay, how long can you actually go without food and water? Well, you can only last not more than 7 days without water. And with food, most of us need to eat 1 to 3 times a day at least to stay alive. However, we live in the Western world, and food can be more detrimental than it is good to us these days. So learning about how to eat, what to eat, and all the things that have gone on over the last 100 years in terms of diets and, eat meat, don't eat meat, eat carbs, don't eat carbs. Well, I have a very simple system for what to eat and how to know if it's good for you. So I'll come back to that towards the end. Okay. Also in the area of health is mindfulness, because it's one thing to have a healthy body, but how healthy your mind is will determine as well sickness, disease, so your stress load. And really keeping a healthy mind is really going to make a huge difference to how you fare with your health. Of course, those that are into exercise will have all kinds of ways of exercising, that getting your body moving, that is really makes a massive difference to your health. When I was a teenager, I was all about the running long distance and cross country, and so I lived in the country, and so it was just natural and normal for me to run up the hills and that would be the thing. But as I've gotten older and had kids, then it's become much more of an effort to make. But all kinds of working out and moving is super important for the body. Okay, next one, gratitude. So kind of goes along with mindfulness, but really having that happiness, having that gratitude is the highest of all of the attributes, and having just simply focusing on gratitude can give you a really good healthy mental state. Next one would be relationships. So what is our health if we don't have someone to share life with? And so a lot of people say that having a healthy relationship is really good for longevity. So vice versa, I guess, too, you know, having not having a healthy body does also play a part of healthy relationships. Okay, doing something for your body, for your mind every day. So getting really good sleep to restore and rejuvenate the body through rest, because we can't go all the time. We need to actually stop. And anyone who's into exercise will also tell you that rest forms an important and essential part of any movement activity, is that you need to stop at some point. Massage. So massage, I put this all together with chiropractic and kinesiology, manipulating the body for good health, and I love all those modalities to bring out deeper levels of understanding of how the body works, what's going on the inside, releasing toxins and tension from the body, realigning, rebalancing the skeletal system, the muscles, for optimal health as well. Okay, and then herbs. So I know herbs is a bit different to oils. You could kind of put the two together, but I think, you know, naturopathy is a really big area of itself, that if you know, it used to be the way before allopathic doctors took over as the know all and be all about looking after like medicine. It was all about the herbs, and there really is a modality or a herb or a plant that will fix almost every condition that you can think of. Now I have to do a disclaimer, because I do have a son with type 1 diabetes, and I haven't found anything that can replace my, you know, going to for my normal GP for what they can do for him with his insulin dependence. So there you go, there's my disclaimer. Okay, now knowing what to avoid, and we're going back to food now, and food and what you put on your body, and things that you want to be a lookout for. So there's so many toxins that can enter your body via creams and lotions that have been touted as, you know, such good things for healing. But here's a short list of things that you should avoid. So avoid eating and avoid putting on your body artificial flavors, sweeteners, formaldehyde donating preservatives, parabens, petrolatum, phthalates, sodium lauryl sulfates, the tears, the mears, the deers. There's the soy, fructose corn syrup, canola oil, trans fats, and talc. There's just a short list of things that that really are going to impact your endocrine system. They really just create inhibitors to your body being able to absorb. So the old saying is, you are what you eat. Not quite true. You are what you absorb. And what you absorb into your body and into your bloodstream is what's going to give an impact on your health.
Can I quickly ask Kelly about peanuts? I thought that naturally crushed peanuts without all the additives occasionally would be good. Is there something specifically naturally occurring in peanuts that's a problem?
No, in actual fact, it is on that list, and I do actually want to say that naturally crushed peanuts is really good for lowering cholesterol.
Right.
Yeah, so it does have its health benefits. I guess more the way that it is processed. So a lot of food can become less healthy once it's processed in a way that kind of strips it bare of the goodness. So you take something like an orange and it's super good for you, but then you just squeeze it and just purify it till it's just like plain juice without all the fiber, and then where's the goodness gone? So it's that kind of concept.
Yeah, so it's like with like a craft peanut butter or something would be full of crap, but if you get some companies that just crush the peanuts and add nothing and it's a bit oily, but it's natural, that should be okay.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Sorry to butt in.
No, and thank you for bringing that up. That's 100% right. And I know if someone else will also have brought that up too if you didn't. So thank you. Okay, so here's how I look at 6 ways that you can improve your health, and these are really good general rules of thumb that when it comes to food that we can, all of us can really start to have a look at our Western diets and see what we can do to improve. So number 1 is decrease our toxic intake. So there's lots of toxic food that is just we're eating daily and we're not even noticing. So one of the things is that people will eat all kinds of crap until we say it's healthy, and then they'll become an inspector about it, right? So what is in this? But if you tell them it's junk food, they'll just eat it till the cows come home. So many toxins are in even food that we think is healthy. Okay, so you just mentioned Kraft peanut butter, and exactly there's so one of the things that we can do is to decrease our toxic intake. So that's things like addictive foods, artificial colors and flavors, allergens, and I'll go through a few of these. So what I find is that most people aren't aware of as an allergen is dairy. Dairy's, a lot of people have allergic reactions to dairy. So eating too much dairy can really upset tummies. The fats and the in oils in dairy can be really upsetting. And what you'll notice if you've ever done a dairy detox is that if you to cut out cheese and yogurt and ice cream and butter and milk, just introducing that back into your diet after a little while, what you notice is your tongue is coated in fat. So yeah, you can do a little experiment and go off dairy and then go back on it and go, wow, what you really taste is the fat content of dairy. If you know anyone who's suffering with acne, that's the first thing that people will say is to avoid is dairy, because that really exacerbates acne skin. The next one would be gluten. So whether you are gluten intolerant or not, gluten will affect most people and they don't even know about it. So how it affects most people is you feel bloated. Okay, so going gluten-free will eliminate the bloating pretty quickly. But gluten is really the glue that binds foods together. However, there's no nutritional value in anything that has gluten in it. Well, I should say that is gluten predominantly, because there's no nutritional value in the glue, right? So anything like the bread, white pasta, white rice, all those kinds of things, they actually inhibit the nutritional absorption and can affect and be quite carcinogenic to your body. So now your gut is your second brain. So anything that passes through your gut will affect the way that you think and feel. And so it has a run-on effect. Gluten will have a run-on effect to your brain function, and then has been known to be linked to carcinogenic and to cancers and all kinds of things. So just decreasing like your gluten and your dairy intake, and even soy, because soy can be quite I'm going to forget the word now. There's different kinds of soy that can mimic estrogen. So if you're having soy based protein smoothies and things, not as good for you. Okay, so number 2, increase nutritional absorption. Once you take away some of those nasties, you can then start to absorb the good foods that you're eating. And then it's like I said before, the more nutrition that you can absorb, the more your body is going to feel good for it. Number 3, eliminate toxins. So that's actually more about doing a toxic dump. So having a good herbal tea, drinking an alkaline based water. So putting lemon into your water is really good. And just eliminating those toxins out of your body. Number 4 is about balancing your blood sugar. So we know that sugar is addictive to the body, more even than cocaine. So when we eat sugar, our blood sugar rises, and whatever goes up must come down. So when your blood sugar does too much of this up and down, that's when people are lining up for type 2 diabetes. So what we want to do is we want to balance out your blood sugar levels by balancing out how much sugar you have throughout the day and when you have it. I know before I knew anything about nutrition, my go-to was having enough sugar hits throughout the day to keep my energy levels high, so that I would just bounce from sugar hit to sugar hit, and that was how I would get through the day pretty much. But we know that that's no good for you. Okay, so what do you do? We'll get onto that one in a moment. Number 5 is balancing our pH levels. So this is where we talk about the alkaline foods and acidic foods. So acidic foods are things like red meat, coffee, and sugar. That's all very acidic to your body. Alkaline would be like your leafy greens, lemons, and so it's about balancing those. It's not about cutting out and doing without completely. It's about balance, because we don't want to be a wafer and just eat lettuce alone either. Okay. When you wake up first thing in the morning and you go to the bathroom, you're going to notice what color your urine is. That's a good indication of your pH levels. And then the the first thing you want to do when you wake up is drink water or alkaline based drink. That's actually going to help you balance and flush, so eliminate toxins, because what goes in must come out, and we don't want to be storing up toxins in our body by not being able to eliminate those. So it's having that good cycle and flushing out. Okay, and then number 6 is support. So supporting your gut, number 1, with a good probiotic, I recommend, but also family and friends support, so that if you decide I want to do something good for my body and be healthy, that you have a team of people around you who are going to support you, not thwart you in your efforts. So gaining the agreement of those, at least in your household, or a good buddy who's going to back you up and support you, or even using social media as a tool to say, hey, I'm doing something healthy for my body this year, and you post about it, and then everyone gets on and goes, great, I'm so proud of you, I want to do that too, let's do that together. And then you have some accountability, and having accountability whilst you're trying to do something good for you is super, super important. Now, I did tell Michael that I was going to talk about carbs tonight, and I want to specifically talk about the carbs versus the gluten that we were talking about. So there are some good carbs that that give you good energy. So you want to think about carbs and food as energy in, energy out. So if you're cutting out carbs, then where are you going to get your energy from? Because if you have carbs that give you low GI, so it's a good energy for longer lasting, then you're not having that quick sugar hit. So foods such as sweet potato, brown rice, a really good source of a good carb. Okay, yeah. So it's funny, the keto diet is low carbs, but some keto diets are also about high fat, and so getting your energy from fats. Now, you got to ask yourself, why are you doing it? What is it that you want to get out of it, and what results do you want to see? So in my mind, anything that is about your shape, your body shape, that meaning weight loss, does not necessarily equal health. Neither does necessarily veganism equal health. That's kind of more about looking after animals than looking at really good like health practices. So if you're looking at reducing fat really quickly from your body, maybe you want to fit into a dress, or you want to go to a wedding and you want to look fabulous, and if that is your goal, then I think you can do one of those diets. Why not? But if you want longevity with your health, then do something that you don't have to yo-yo with, and that you can actually teach and train yourself to eat healthy on a regular basis, and then it's going to sustain you long term. So it should be part of your lifestyle. What I believe is zig to zag. Okay, so all I'm saying is I'm not a person who's like, I'm never eating pizza or I'm never eating chocolate. I actually like that, we can enjoy all the variety, but if you eat healthy 80% of the time, then you can afford that 20% zigzag, and we're not just like a boring having a boring diet. So yeah, so have a look at what your goal is, and what is it that you want to get out of it, so that make sure that you keep your energy up and your brain function. Because sometimes when we go on a diet, then yes, you're losing weight, but you don't want to be starving, and you don't want to be tired, and you don't want to lose focus when you're supposed to be, at work and focusing on work. Okay. Do you want to say anything about that, Michael?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I agree with almost all of that. There is just one thing that I think it's almost like a controversial thing because so much we're taught about getting energy from carbs, but there is definitely becoming a fat burner, as in someone who gets the majority of their energy from proteins and fats. And you have to be careful when you do that you're getting plenty of greens to filter it in your liver and everything. If you just some of those diets where it's just bacon, eggs, and nothing else, absolutely that's a problem. So you got to have plenty of veggies if you're doing that. And then yes, it's not cutting out carbs completely. Like sweet potatoes, fantastic and everything. I was more talking about refined, processed, your breads and flours and pastas, and just the gluten-loaded, highly processed stuff that you want to avoid. But when I've gone to eating like long-term, as in not like a diet, but trying to make it a lifestyle, is if I have 1 or 2 meals a day with lots of veggies and a decent amount of protein. At first, your body adjusts when you've been used to, burning carbs because you have bread with almost everything in a Western diet. But once you adjust to it, I've never felt so much more energy and lighter and like much more concentration, like brain-wise, like thought-wise. So like, yes, you got to have your good carbs and stuff from vegetables, but you can pretty much cut out breads and pastas and grains and a lot of that stuff. Like turn the pyramid upside down almost, except for sugar.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for mentioning that pyramid too, because that's just bread these days is not the same bread that our ancestors used to eat, and it's really been been modified and been processed for to cure world hunger as a short-term solution, but really there's very little nutritional value left in it. So yeah, doing without it is completely doable these days because it's not what it used to be.
You can get some of that. It's like spelt bread or something. It's like sort of $8, $9, $10 a loaf from I think Harris Farm. And when you have that, you don't feel as bloated and it's. I think there's a lot more nutritional value in that. And it costs a lot more, but I guess if you want to enjoy it occasionally and also not have something crap, there are things, good breads you can find, I guess.
Yeah, and that's very true. And Betty taught us how to make sourdough bread from scratch. And I take my hat off to her because I've tried a few times and I keep stuffing it up. But that is really it is really good for your gut. That has those enzymes in it. That's really good for you. So yeah, 100%. Um, I did want to point out a few natural remedies that I think are really, really good. And like I said, like there's something in nature that is a cure for every disease and every ailment that you can find. So, um, yeah, here's just a few. Um, Baking soda, I'm not going to go through them all. Apple cider vinegar, turmeric, peppermint oil. I will say when I went through, we just our whole household had the COVID virus, the flu, whatever, right? It was just like the flu. So we just stocked up on all those good, the apple cider vinegar, the turmeric, the veggie NAC, really good stuff. Vitamin C, D, zinc, all the ones that those protocols that you're told to have, and then putting on a diffuser with a lemon diffuser and a peppermint oil, um, putting onions. I cut up the onions, put half an onion beside my bed. That soaks up toxins out of the air. Sliced up the onion, glad wrapped it to the bottom of my feet. All those really good old wives' tales. They're super easy with no downside. And so, getting back to those remedies, really important to know. And, that was the thing back in the day, was that, mums would all know the remedies of what to use, what to rub on your chest, and what to bind on your skin, if anything was to happen. So getting back into knowing some of those, there is the book that went through that's called Home Doctor, that has some really good ideas in there for how to treat your family at home. And really, researching the old DuckDuckGo can have lots of benefits, and rather than having to go to the doctor for any of those things.
That's a good point you make about the Spanish onions. With and the other thing about that is, because they're so amazing at extracting all the toxins, you also got to be careful. If you have an old onion in your fridge and you leave it there for a couple of weeks, it'll.
Yeah. I don't know if you've frozen or if I've frozen. Yeah, it absorbs the toxins out of your kitchen, out of your fridge. Agnes, can you hear me? Just want to check that.
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, so it might have been Michael that.
No, I can hear it clearly.
Okay, great. Yeah, so don't leave an open cut up onion out, and then because it will absorb all those toxins, so chuck that away. Yeah. Okay. So just in finishing up, using only plant-based ingredients on your skin, so staying clear of mineral oils, perfumes, dyes, and fragrances on your skin, because your skin is your largest organ, and it can absorb all those toxins through your skin. So being aware that there's lots of companies out there that work with just botanicals only, and that's been my expertise of the last 15 years, is working with a beautiful company called Arbonne for all of my skincare and natural health remedies. Even one that I use, it's called skin conditioning oil, and I use it for everything from a paper cut to a rash, and it's all herbal based oil. Even have a cream that's really good for mozzie bites, so I never go to the chemist for any of those kinds of things. And of course, when it comes to food, the more that we can grow our own, that we can avoid the chemicals that are associated with growing vegetables and produce, or getting it from a grower that you can vouch for, that is doing organic growing. Move your body, exercise, reduce stress, read 10 pages of a good book each day, go to bed with good positive thoughts. So they say don't go to bed on an argument, but go to bed making sure that you are loving yourself and loving the ones you're with, meditating, and setting yourself up for success the next day. So I just want to challenge us all to have a look at what area of your health that you would like to work on this year, and making this the best year of your life in terms of your energy, your mindset, your positivity, and how healthy and great that you feel for yourself. If you need help in any of these areas, I actually do have a program that I run. It's a 30 days to healthy living, clean eating coaching program that I can support you in that area. And I also do a 5-day mindset coaching program as well, that if you want to get into a good routine to set you up first thing in the day with good habits, then you can find out more about my 5-day program or my 30-day program on my website, myselfreliance.com.au, and those programs have already started this month, but we're kicking off with a brand new month in February with those programs as well. So I'm going to open it up and see if there's any questions. Stop that share. Yeah, so you guys want to have any thoughts about anything that was said?
My thought was, you were saying that I noticed for myself is that, when you take vitamin tablet, the urine tend to be dark in color, so yeah, that's the thing, because if I don't take vitamin, it's clear, but I noticed that when I take vitamin, it's darker. So I suppose, yeah.
A really good point. So what's happening there is that it's two things. It's either not absorbing the nutrients in that supplement, and so then it's flushing out. Or if you're taking something that's high in vitamin B or B12, then that will show up as quite strong in your urine anyway. So just observe which of the two that it is. If it's this is why we do need supplements, but we do nothing that I use is actually come in a form of a tablet, because tablets don't absorb into your body as well as a powder does. So if you can find a supplement that's more powder form than tablet form, then it's going to be readily absorbed by your body.
I see. Thank you so much.
A really great question. I'm glad you brought that up.
I guess also got to be like which vitamins they're taking, like if it's something from the supermarket, or like what there's vitamin C, and there's vitamins.
Yeah, exactly. And so here's my rule of thumb. If you're buying it from the supermarket or from the department store, it's probably pretty bad for you.
No, from chemist. It's a vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc. Yes.
Yeah. And look, I have one in the cupboard as well. That's the vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc combination. And whilst I'm not really it's not my go-to, because I try to get those supplements from actual food sources, then when you are depleted in your health and you're feeling unwell, then your body's going to take whatever it needs and it's going to discard the rest. So vitamin D is an interesting one, because vitamin D actually comes from the sun.
That's right.
So we can get more vitamin D from being outdoors and using less sunscreen, because that sunscreen can have lots of rubbish in it as well that's just coating our skin and more toxic absorbing than it is beneficial. So just managing our time in the sun so you're not damaging yourself and getting burnt, but actually being able to absorb those vitamin D rays is really good for you. And the other one that I tend to have to rely on too is iron supplements. That's also quite a difficult one for someone who's like me, who's quite low in iron, to absorb. So yeah, that's another one that you kind of have to work around. But you have to take vitamin C with the iron to be able to absorb the iron as well. So when it comes to that combo C, D, and zinc, then just do the best you can with a source that seems reasonable. Ask around, get some recommendations for a good source of that. I like to go to my chiropractor for the Metagenics brand, which is not sold in the supermarkets, but they do quite good bone broth as well. They do veggie knack, and maybe not all chiropractors. And I don't even recommend all chiropractors. I recommend a chiropractic that is uses a form, it's called NET, neuro-emotional technique, and so they test the body for being able to work out whether this symptom that you're feeling is coming from an emotional source or from a physical source, and then they'll work with the body on that area, because it may be that if you're having repeat symptoms, that it may be more about the emotions that you're feeling that's kind of bringing out bodily symptoms. And so, they say if you have a sore back constantly, that maybe you're not feeling supported, or if you are losing your voice, that you're not saying what's really there to be said. And that so there's all these things that actually can connect your body to an ailment. And I'll try and find the book. There's a brilliant book that would have every emotion that you're feeling, or every physical manifestation, how that's connected to your emotions, and how you can actually heal yourself through those, releasing those emotions. But what neuro-emotional technique does is it gets to the source of that emotion. So it may be the very first time that you felt that emotion, can be playing out now as to why you're, like you've hurt your ankle, and it could be something that happened as far back as the womb, right? Or even generational. So healing emotions on a generational level as well. So so that's a form of kinesiology that's really, really useful for the body, because it's not necessarily about that manipulation and that back cracking. It's about really getting to the source of the body.
I think you recommended a chiropractor to Raquel that she told me about, and I'm super, super keen on that, because I just had this recurring neck pain that's just insane. And I remember getting some release on something when I told myself a different story about something in my childhood, that for years it went away, that I find it's coming back. And I think you mentioned, or Raquel mentioned that you mentioned that they do a bit of that. So I'm keen to see her or him.
Yeah. She's in the hills area, and if you're not in the hills area, if you need someone, for like in another state, then I can, I'd get her to recommend someone for you. So I do know, if anyone's watching in Queensland, I do have some really great Queensland-based ones. But my husband had gout in his foot, and of course, gout is a buildup of acid, and it's really diet related and self-inflicted. But he went to the chiropractor and she did a technique on his foot and really released the pain that he was feeling, and then released the gout. So and then it's up to him to keep it at bay with his good choices of eating. But absolutely, babies when they're newborn, going through that birth, and we really recommend that getting their cranial adjusted, because if your cranial is out, your skull and your facial structures, that can really put a lot of things out in your body. And so having that cranial adjustment, even for newborns, is really recommended. It's really sets them up for good health, good reflexes, sucking and so forth. So yeah.
That happened with my sister's daughter recently, actually, and they got that adjusted, and suddenly she was all chilled and relaxed and smiley and less crying. It was a huge difference very quickly.
Huge difference, yeah. So you can see that in developmental milestones with kids, you know, if they're falling over a lot, or you know, if their reading's not quite up to scratch, or you know, just all the maybe some delays, then that can really make a big difference there as well. Yeah. And also ourselves, right? Like if something's off, sometimes we can't really figure out what that is. It can be gut related. So just remember, if you've been sick and you've had to take medication, then we noticed that after the flu, you know, we were a bit irritable for a little while, and it had to improve our gut flora with probiotics so that we actually didn't feel irritable, because your gut will, you know, make those changes in the brain and how you respond to things. And yeah, so having a good prebiotic probiotic is really helpful as well. So you know what, it is such a big topic, health, and there's so many good things. I've just even come across one that I was inquiring about was basal cell carcinoma, so like skin cancer, right? And I thought, you know, what would we normally do? We'd normally go see the doctor, and the doctor would do some evasive, you know, scrape the skin or whatever, they cut it out or like that. And there's actually some plant-based remedies that is good for skin cancers. Black salve is another one that draws out cancer out of the skin. Yeah, if you haven't heard of black salve, it's a paste that you make up that you can put on, and the healing process that the body goes through as it actually sucks out the cancer out of the skin. It's quite dramatic, but then it allows the body to heal, and it can take some time. But then you're left with, you know, beautiful skin that you haven't had to take a scalpel to. So my grandmother, she's 95, and she had a toe had an open wound, and they told her it's because she didn't have good blood circulation to her foot. And so, you know, she suffered for a lot of months, just this last year gone by. And she went to her specialist, and what did they tell her? Amputate. And she said, there is no way I am amputating, because what they want to do is cut off your toe. Then what? Then it'll be your ankle, and then it'll be up to your knee, and they'll just chop off bits of me until I'm dead. And as so clued in as she is, she started all other ways of improving her circulation. She did have to have a stent put in, a stent, I think that's the right word, so a balloon where they kind of opened up the capillaries and things and tried to allow the blood through. 2 hospital visits later, and complications with antibiotics and infections. Her toe is now actually healing, and she's actually on the mend, and looks like she'll be able to be free of that, you know, and walk and go back to dancing. She's an avid dancer at 95. But you know, that just goes to show you how they want to fix it. If you go to the specialist, you know, so there is lots of much better ways that we can work with healing our body than what the doctors seem to want to tell you.
What was the name of that paste you put on the skin and that other one you mentioned? My internet cut out briefly and I didn't catch it.
Black Salve, Salve.
Oh, Salve. Okay.
Yeah. Now it's been banned. So it's kind of, you know, black market stuff. You can't really be seen to be selling it because you get in all kinds of trouble. So that's how well it works. Right? So yeah.
You mentioned another one before Black Salve. You said some other name I hadn't heard before.
Oh, goodness gracious. What did I say, Agnes?
It was also to do with the skin, I think, or growth or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm making things
This
up.
is the one, actually. This is one that Kelly referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the one.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was Black Salve. Yeah, all plant-based. But you know, there are some preparations that are I guess manufactured that work, and so if you do need to buy something that's prepared, then I do recommend Arbonne products that are all botanically based. That list that I showed you, that with none of the nasties. So I get all my hair care, all my nutrition, my skincare, my deodorant, my toothpaste. You know, they even do baby care and men's care and acne skin treatments and makeup, because you wouldn't believe how much rubbish is in makeup. And I don't want to be without my makeup, so I want to use all botanically based ingredients there. And so they do over 400 ingredients that I can 100% trust down to the ground. So they are super, super good. And that's a company that's been around for 40 years, only using botanically based ingredients.
Question, Kelly. You know, sunscreen normally is the normal for everyone to use a face sunscreen. So what do you recommend? Because I was told that you can use coconut oil as well. So
coconut oil will actually, we used to use that back in the day to get a tan, and it'll cook you. You just sit on the beach and fry using the coconut oil. So coconut oils is a good, it's like a base oil that you would put other aromatherapies or something to as a massage, or because it has quite big molecules in it, it doesn't absorb into the skin. So it's a carrier oil. You wouldn't use it for anti-aging or for it's a skincare essentially, because it's just really a lubricant. Okay. So in terms of sunscreen, zinc is always kind of like the pure of the sunscreen. And the sunscreen that we use from Arbonne, there's two kinds. There's one that's a baby, it comes from the baby range, and it's a really good sunscreen. Does need to be reapplied, because it hasn't got anything in it that will I guess absorb or like be toxic to the skin. So you just need to keep reapplying it. The other one is in our makeup and skincare and face range. There's a nice 30 plus or 15 plus that is in with our moisturizer and our makeup range. So however they make that, it's absolutely beautiful, because you don't feel like you're wearing a heavy sunscreen. It just feels so light on your skin, and it's the most beautiful thing. So yeah, I